Hi guys and welcome to the episode 7 of Project Cypher. So since the past 6 episodes we've been working on the functionality of the motorcycle, and just in the last episode, that is in episode 6, we finished all the functional components relating to the motorcycle. So now all that was left was painting everything up and assembling the motorcycle finally, which is exactly what we did in this episode. Now this may sound strange, but the paint process is not all that simple. So it was better to get a professional's help in order to get the paint job done, and that's what we did. The color that I've chosen for the motorcycle is quite a unique one, and I hope you all will like it. Once the paint procedure is done, we will assemble the whole motorcycle back up, and I won't get too much into the assembly part because that will extend the video drastically, and I just want to keep this one short. Also, there is a bonus clip added at the end of the video, so keep watching till the end or just skip to the bonus part, whatever works for you. And as always, if you like what you see, like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment if you have any suggestions or any questions related to the series. Thank you.
Alright, so the paint procedure is not as straightforward as it seems. It actually involves various steps which need to be followed very carefully. Also, this is where most beginners doing a custom build mess their bike up. The paint job is the one thing people notice the most on a motorcycle, and if that isn't done nicely, no matter how cool your design is, your motorcycle will never receive the praise it deserves. So it is better to leave it up to a professional till the time you understand and master the process, which is exactly what I did as well. So the whole process involves firstly covering up the parts in a primer layer. After this, the part is covered up with putty to fill all the minor gaps and to create a smooth, uniform surface. This step is quite a crucial one because you need to be very highly satisfied with the output before painting it up. Also, the edges and curves of the parts need to be kept intact during the whole process. Once the putty is complete, another layer of a finer putty called check putty is applied to the surface to fill the very fine pores which might have not leveled out previously. Once we were satisfied with the smoothness of the surface, we sprayed another layer of a better and denser primer on the parts and allowed them to dry up overnight. And finally, it was time to spray everything up with paint. The paint that I used for the tank and the side panels is a shade from Nissan. It's like a very deep shade of red. So when it is exposed directly to the sun, it exhibits a very bright color, and during night time it appears to be almost black. Everything else was sprayed with a plain black color. Also, if you're planning on using some graphics on your parts, this is the right time to do it. That is right before the clear coat, so that once the clear coat is done over the graphics, they are held nicely into their place. And now comes the final step, spraying the parts with a clear coat. This is what your final output is, and trust me, it's just a magical feeling looking at the paint get all shiny and pearly after this coat is done. The whole paint job, in my case, turned out to be better than I had expected. So the whole paint process took us 2 days to complete, after which I had to leave town for about 4 to 5 days. So the paint had an ample amount of time to dry up all nicely. And as soon as I returned, I got to assembling the motorcycle, which took me 1 complete day. I started off at 10 in the morning, and at about 8:30 in the evening, I was done with the whole assembly. So we started off with the front mudguard, then we got to the rear mudguard and the side panels, then the seat subframe, then came in the seat, and finally the tank.
Alright, so now everything is done, the project is a success, I got the motorcycle back home. But in a few days I realized that the exhaust note from this new exhaust was really loud. The motorcycle was grabbing attention, but for all the wrong reason. So I had to bring down the decibel level of the exhaust. But what are the proper ways to silence down a silencer? So there are a few measures that you can take to bring your exhaust volume down. Some of which are increasing the glass wool volume in your exhaust, or inserting a baffle in your exhaust, or even reducing the outlet diameter. And in our case, we took all the three measures. So this was the basic structure of our exhaust in stock condition. This is where the bent pipe is connected, and this was the final output of the gases. So this part of our exhaust is actually a cap that is removable, and so when I removed this cap, I found out that there was a metallic mesh inside the exhaust, and between the exhaust walls and the metallic mesh was some amount of glass wool. When I removed this glass wool, I found out that it was not even going till the end of the exhaust. It was just in a little area, in let's say 1/3 or about a half of the exhaust. So what we did was we removed the old glass wool from the exhaust, and now we wanted to insert baffles into the exhaust. So I tried to source a baffle online, and when I went to Amazon, I got to know that they could deliver a baffle to me, but after a waiting period of 1 month. Maybe the baffle was getting imported from somewhere outside India, but I didn't have that kind of time in my hands, and I couldn't ride the bike as it is up till then, and also I couldn't just not ride the bike at all. So I decided to create a baffle from the older exhaust. So the end pipe of the exhaust is a narrower one, so we cut that off, we sealed it from one end, we drilled holes in its walls, and we welded it on the cap of the newer exhaust. And the final structure that we created for the exhaust was something like this. So we increased the amount of glass wool between the exhaust walls and the metal mesh up till here, and also we created a baffle from the older exhaust by cutting out its outlet pipe and closing it from this end, drilling a lot of holes in its walls, and then welding it on the outlet cap. This area that you see over here is filled with glass wool as well. So what was happening previously with our exhaust was that the exhaust fumes were not being forced to flow through the glass wool, rather they were free to flow from this area which was totally hollow. But now that we filled glass wool in this area, the exhaust fumes had to come over here, and since this area was closed, they had to go over here, and then they could get inside through the holes, and then they were let out. This measure reduced about 30% of the exhaust volume, and another 20 to 30% was reduced by reducing the end diameter of the exhaust.